Welcome to the Kronos Quick Hit video on charts and graphs. On the screen, we're looking at two employees, Miranda and Mark, that both have the same company admin security profile, but have access to different groups of employees. They also have access to many tabs where charts can be displayed. If we click on a few of these, we'll see that they're blank. We're going to walk through the steps on how to create and add charts to a dashboard. There are three things that need to be turned on for charts to be available. The first is the new UI dashboard layout profile that should be assigned to employees. I'm using the quick search box to get there. We're going to open the profile that you're using, and we're going to look in the dashboard visibility section. The Show My Dashboard box, if that's checked, that will enable this tab for my dashboard. If the Show Module Dashboards is checked, that's going to enable the remaining tabs. Keep in mind, available tabs are going to be dependent on the modules that your company has, as well as security. And we're going to touch base on security in a few minutes. Now you can have either or both of these boxes checked. To help you decide, please note that My Dashboard tab will let you pull in charts from several areas in the system, whereas the module-specific tabs only allow you to pull in charts for those areas. One other thing to note is you can have 6 charts per tab. The other 2 items needed are in the security profile. Once again, I'm going to use my quick search. And I'm going to open up the company administrator profile. The first area we need to look at is on the bottom left, the new UI preferences. We need to make sure Enable Desktop is checked. The second area is up on the right-hand side under Dashboards. Here you will choose what tabs you want this group to access. Now this profile is full access, which is why all boxes are selected and grayed out. One other option you may want to consider is the Dashboard Sharing User selection. This will allow for the best sharing capabilities of your dashboard charts. Many people think that charts are built on the dashboard. However, they are not. First, they must be created in the actual reports themselves. For example, let's go into the employee information screen. You will want to note the report name where you are when you're building a chart. It will be needed later in the setup. Currently, we're in employee information. Miranda built 2 charts in her default view, and she shared them. So if we were to open up Mark's employee information, he has the same default view, but his charts look different. That's because he has access to a different group of employees. So even though Miranda created them for her larger group of employees, when Mark accessed the same shared chart, it will only show him his employees. Let's back up a little and look how to turn on this chart section in a report. You'll want to come and click the Viewing Charts and Data icon and select Data and Charts to have this current view. There is a Data Only, which would show just the report, or a Charts Only, which would show only charts. But to see both, you'll want to select the bottom option of Charts and Data. Also, in order to build the chart around a data field, that data field must be displayed in the report. In other words, you couldn't build a chart on department counts if the department field was not visible in the report. So before you begin building your chart, make sure you add any needed columns of data. If the column isn't visible, you'll want to go to Add Remove Columns under the ellipsis at the top. We're going to build a chart on how many employees are under each manager. First thing we check is to make sure that the manager field is displayed in the report, and we can see that it is. Next, you're going to click the ellipsis at the bottom of the screen in the charting area to add a chart. There are several types of charts available. You have a horizontal and vertical bar chart. You have a line graph, a pie chart, and a heat map. We're going to select the horizontal bar chart. You can always change the chart type later if you don't like the initial selection. The data section options will vary depending on the type of chart selection. For our chart, in our category or our x-axis, we're going to select Manager 1. That's the main field which you're grouping your data. Now the options that will be in this drop-down are going to be dependent on what's in your report. In the metric or y-axis, based on this report, the only option is going to be row count, and the value calculation is going to be count as well because we want to count the number of employees per manager. Other charts from other areas will have different selections in these dropdowns. The chart display is asking you about your labels. The top two, the category title, metric title, this will show information when you mouse over a chart selection. So if we take a look at Mark's screen, when I mouse over these, that's coming from those top two boxes. The category labels and data labels underneath, that's these outside labels, or the ones that go down the left-hand side of the screen. I'm going to go ahead and select them all so that we have the most labels. You will need to give your chart a title, and you can leave the default name if you like, and then click Save. Miranda now has 3 charts for this report, including the new one for the count of employees for each manager. You can create many charts for each report, but can only have up to 3 charts displayed per setting. Each chart is also an instant filter. If I click on one of the chart selections, this will automatically filter my data above so I can see what or who is making up those totals. To remove the filter, just simply click Undo this change. To edit the individual charts, simply click on the ellipsis that's within that chart. You can do Edit, and you're back to the screen where you made your selections, and you can choose some modifications. To save and share these charts, simply click the ellipsis at the top, and you can select Save View. If you already have a saved setting, then you're just modifying it. You'll want to select Save View As if you want this to be a separate saved new setting. We're going to click Save View because we already have a saved setting. This was my title, EE Info with Charts. Underneath, I've said that this is my default, and then you have some sharing options that I'd like to go over. Because we've chosen to share, and we've made the selection to share with all and made it the default, if I mouse over this question mark, it's telling you that's overriding the system default. Once I save this, that'll actually allow Mark to have this same setting. So if I were to refresh Mark's page, just go back to my employee information, you'll notice that he will now have all 3 charts. There are other ways you can save it if you don't necessarily want the system to automatically always share out your charts, and the way this is saved, Mark can edit them. So let's go back to our saved settings. If I were to say share with others and not choose to share with all, I'm going to resave this. What that will do is if Mark were to go back to his employee information screen, he's not going to have any charts. That doesn't mean he doesn't have access to them. It just means that that's not his default. If he wanted to come in and click Manage Views, he has access to that, and he can select it, and then he'll have those charts. But notice the ellipsis is grayed out. He no longer has access to edit them, but he can certainly use them, and if he wanted to save those as his default, he could. We could go back to the saved view, and we can certainly share with all and click Save, but not check the default. What that will do is if I were to go in and refresh Mark's screen again, he still isn't going to have the charts come in. He can bring them in, and again, he could make them his default, but this would give him the access to edit these charts again. So it's up to you how you want to save them. Do you want just to allow people to use charts you've created? Do you want to give them access to change them because they may be changing them for you as well, depending on their security access? So keep that in mind when you're creating them. I'm going to go back and make sure that I save these as everyone's default and save. Now when Mark comes back in, you'll see that he does have those charts on his view again, and he can edit them. So now that we've created the charts, let's put them on our dashboard. We're going to click on the Team tab to add the chart because that's where we actually created these in this Team section. so we know that they'll be available there. Now you need to click Add Chart. You can do either one of these. First thing you need to do is put in the report name. This is where noting that from the previous step comes in handy. If you remember, we were in employee information. So I'm going to start typing that in and go ahead and select employee information. Once you select the correct report, we'll see your saved settings appear. And if you had multiple ones, you could click from that list. From that saved setting, though, you'll see all of the charts that you have available. You can select the chart or charts that you would like to see on this screen and click Add. Because of how we set the sharing of the charts and made them available to all, Mark will also have these charts now show up on his dashboard. And because Mark and Miranda are on the same company admin security profile, Mark can also modify these charts and have them show up for Miranda. These charts will also be shared down to managers, and they will see them if their security allows. This concludes the quick chart demonstration. If you have additional questions, please submit a support case in the Kronos community. We hope you found this helpful and look forward to seeing you in Workforce Ready. Have a great day.